Few careers have packed in as many highs and lows and heartbreak as Sam Docherty's. His journey has been anything but straightforward. An All-Australian, best and fairest, 3 ACLs and a cancer battle. But through it all, he refused to wilt. Now as he walks away from the game, Sam Docherty is unfiltered. 16 surgeries, 2 clubs, 3 ACLs, 3 bouts of cancer. It's going to be hard to get 30 minutes out of this.
Yeah, it might be a bit tough.
You're facing football mortality through ACL reoccurrences. And then everything gets put in perspective because you go and see someone around what you think at that point is a cyst. The surgeon has a different view. What are his words that terrify you?
Yeah, coming home from the hub with what I thought was a cyst to then an aching on our last day of our road trip back to Melbourne. Doc called me on the way home and not overly safe, but told me that I had cancer while I was driving the car. And I remember this so distinctly because I just thought I was going to die. That's the first thing that goes through your head whenever you get told that, is that this is going to be the end. Getting told the words, "you've got cancer," is completely and utterly terrifying. I remember driving home in tears. I kind of mustered up the energy to walk inside first and then get to the bottom of the stairs. I looked up at the top of the stairs. Nat kind of come around the corner and was like, "Oh, how'd you go?" And like, I went to say something, my face just broke down. My lips started quivering. And she just went, "Oh no." I walked up the stairs and told her I had cancer. I'm getting surgery in a couple of days. I don't really know what it means. When the doc spoke to me on the phone, as soon as I heard cancer, my head just didn't listen to a thing after that. Sat there crying for 20, 30 minutes in Nat's arms, and then had to call the doctor back to ask all the details of what he even said on the phone. And it's such a moment that kind of strips back footy and just takes you to life. And yeah, not an easy one to go through, that's for sure.
So you have the surgery and you remove a testicle and you're back to training. Like you hardly miss a beat.
Yeah.
So that's simplifying a little, but you never miss a game through cancer.
No, I was... That one, I just think the surgery was in November. Got about a 6 or 7 centimetre scar. So there's obviously a few challenges coming back off that in terms of lifting and running. But I was back training by January. I played most of the next year until I hurt myself again.
So you get diagnosed in November 2020, have the surgery, have a testicle removed. You then play 21 until you get your Cinders injury. On the 2nd of August, what happens?
Yeah, I go in for a routine check that I'd been doing the whole year. I kind of went into these tests. The first one I went into, I kind of went in a bit naive and thinking that I was going to be cancer-free and there's nothing there, we weren't watching anything. And that was the one he kind of said to me, this is the very first one, and said like, "Oh, we're still watching these little spots." And I was like, "Hang on, what do you mean spots?"
You thought surgery removal?
I thought surgery removal
done.
Yeah. And that was kind of the moment where I was a bit like, oh, maybe this, who knows whether this is going to be over or not. Fast forward to, I think, my 3rd scan and blood test after that. Between my 2nd and my 3rd, it had gone from, we're watching a couple of spots to stage 4 cancer. It had gone from, obviously, my testicle out of there up the spermatic cord to my lymph nodes, and then from my lymph nodes all through my lungs and into my stomach. And yeah, I'm facing another challenge. And
at this point, you and Nat haven't had kids.
No.
I assume you're told you have cancer, you think you're going to die, you have a testicle removed. The chances or the likelihood of being able to have kids are being diminished all the time. Then in August 2021, you start having chemo, everything gets compromised.
After the first surgery, I was advised to go and get specimens for a better term because who knows what's going to be in my future.
Yeah.
Because once you have chemo, you can't naturally have children for, I think it's about 2 years, because of the contamination of what chemo and the drugs do to you, and the genetic changes that your body makes. And so we kind of did that straight away, not knowing what was in store, just in case. It was kind of like a safety measure more than anything. But we go on from that point, go to start chemo. We had to go get the COVID jab at the time. Of course, I had one of the reactions to the COVID jab, and then end up in emergency. Poor doctor in emergency has to come up to me when I've had the jab, and my thought I was having a heart attack, and then had to get a CT scan. And then poor doctor comes out to me and goes, "Do you realise that you've got cancer?" And I was like, yeah, don't worry, mate. I'm about to go get treated for it. But I obviously lit up like a Christmas tree in the CT scan, and he thought he was the one giving me the news. But all concurrently going on while Nat and I decided that we were going to start IVF and the egg retrieval process. Funny memories to look at. We're both sort of doing our blood thinning injections at night. I'm going through chemo, and that's going through the IVF process. So
during COVID? During
COVID times, yeah.
What was your weight when you started chemo?
I think I would have been my playing weight was around 86, 87 kilos. So I would have been around that. And I think I got down to like 77, which is very, very light. I don't think I'd ever been below 83 since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I looked it. I was
gaunt.
Skin, bones. Looked like I hadn't seen the sun for months.
You did see the sun though. Vossi came around. You had a chat with him on the bench outside the house.
Yeah, Vossi came around after he got the gig. I'm not 100% sure the exact timelines of it, but yeah, we sat down in the park, and he tells a really funny story of it all. And he kind of asked me around, like, what's your plans for next year? And I was dead serious. He's like, oh no, don't worry, I'll be back. I'll play round 1. Don't worry about it. He said to me like, oh, that's a great goal sort of thing, but in his mind was going like, what the hell is this bloke thinking about?
All white, 77 kilos, going through chemo. I'll be right for round 1.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. It doesn't even make sense to me, that mindset these days. But as we've discussed, like through all of these things, I had this belief that I was just going to do it. And that's just the way I was wired. I can't sit here today and look at my past and how hard it's been with any other lens than being proud and happy that it's happened to me, which is a strange sentiment with everything I've been through, but that's the way I view it. And that's the way that it all makes sense in my mind, that all of this hardship, all of the things that have happened, and the way that my career went, and the way that my life's gone, has got me to here. And I've got so many positives out of that. So I can't complain. I started footy like any player did, to play as many games and win as many accolades as you could possibly win. When I lost my dad, that transferred away from me. My football career was about my dad. And that purpose was built around etching my dad's name into Carlton history books. And
he was a Carlton man.
He was a Carlton man. So that was kind of what drove me for so long in my career. And it wasn't until my cancer diagnosis that changed. I went from, yes, I still played footy for that reason, but I also had another purpose, which was to provide hope for people that feel like they don't have any. And my story and my life has ended up being, which is pretty cool, a beacon of hope for people when they're going through really tough times, that there is a choice of what you get to do, and there is hope that if you keep fighting and you keep finding a way, then things will turn out.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees, but that's not the point. The point's the hope and the thing to hang on to keep going.
How do you tell your mother that her husband has died?
That question these days is far harder to answer than what it was at the time. I was in Arizona, found out on a team dinner, because my brother who was at Phillip Island, couldn't get a hold of my mum, who was in Melbourne helping my auntie move. He could get a hold of my wife, my then partner, but now wife, Nat. Nat had Shane O'Sullivan's number, who called. I was in Arizona at the time. Called Shane, who passed me the phone at dinner to tell me that Dad had passed away and that no one could get a hold of Mum. I had my auntie's number. So without a hesitation, I walked into another room, pressed call my auntie and just told Mum. Like, no thoughts given, no, how am I going to do this? Like, what am I going to say? Just like instinct. Still to this day, I can hear my mum's voice, and the scream on the other end of the phone is something that doesn't haunt me, but it's something that's so jarring to me still. I look at it so many ways, like the fear of Josh being away from the rest of us at Phillip Island near Dad. I think of Mum having to find out off me who's in Arizona, having to go home for her husband. I think about Nat having to call me from the other side of the world to tell her partner that her dad's passed away. It was a perfect storm of everyone being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And
yeah. So how does your mum and you and your brother handle it?
I think all in such different ways.
Yeah.
That's as I said before, there's no perfect way of doing it. I kind of threw everything into footy, and that's just what I did.
Let it consume you so you didn't get consumed.
Essentially, that's a nice way of putting it, but that's what I did. My brother was probably just in the middle of me and Mum. Mum kind of didn't let go at the start. So it's just there's such huge moments for families because they can rip, those moments can rip families apart. And ultimately we were all going on our own little paths individually, and it kind of took a few years for us, as I spoke before about all of us coming back together and becoming really close off the back of it. Everyone's going to do it in a different way, and that's completely fine. No one can tell you how to lose a family member, and we just weren't ready for it either, so which you're never going to be. But again, and I don't want to take this back to all positives, but it just taught me so much about myself at such a young age. At 20 years old, to lose Dad, huge factor of who I was. To lose him so young was so brutal.
He was 53.
Yeah, but that age group scares the hell out of me. If I can give one piece of advice to anyone listening that's between 40 and 50, just go and see the doctor and listen to them. Because I think my dad did see the doctors, but he didn't listen too much. He's the one thing that I got taught from my old man was he wasn't here for a long time, but he made every day that he was here count. And what I mean by that is the amount of people that he impacted in our local community of Phillip Island was unbelievable. Like, they came from everywhere at his funeral. He smoked a deck of darts a day, had 4 or 5 beers, bacon and eggs for breakfast. Like, he lived his life the way he wanted to live it. And as much as it's kind of frustrated me over the years because he's missed so many big things in my life, and I can't fault someone for living their life the way that they wanted to live it. And that's kind of the biggest lesson he kind of gave me, was live the way you want to live. You know, like, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be here tomorrow or any day after that. So I think having that mindset's always served me well.
From nowhere to first rounder, from Brisbane to Carlton, from fit to an ACL, to another ACL, to another ACL, to cancer, to cancer, to cancer. Was there ever a moment where you thought, this is going to end a lot earlier than I think?
The second knee was definitely that. The ACL through a lot of my career was the career ender for so many people. If you did one, you were kind of okay, but if you started doing 2 or more, I didn't see too many players doing that and then being able to sort of forge out a career. So that second ACL kind of hit me between the eyes in that aspect of thinking that my footy mortality was a lot sooner than I'd kind of anticipated, especially coming off probably my 2 best seasons before I did the back-to-back knees. to then have to learn to fight and grit your way back through it, it kind of defined the rest of my career from that point onwards. My first knee was kind of a reality check or a piece of humility that I feel like I needed at the time. Won the best and fairest All-Australian, played every game both years, and probably felt like and took footy for granted and felt like it was just going to keep rolling on. And that first knee kind of gave me that sort of hit between the eyes of that's not how footy works, and that's not how your journey works. It doesn't just roll on, and
nothing's guaranteed.
Nothing's guaranteed, and you have to be grateful for what you have. I would say the naive nature of just coming back off them and feeling like I was just going to come back and be the same player.
You thought you would after the first?
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the mindset that, I don't know whether that's what I needed to have in the time, but I was so confident in my ability to rehab and work hard, and I backed myself in so many aspects across my career in that manner. The writing off of me as a player and kind of drove me in a sense, whether that was external or myself. I wasn't going to let that define the end of my journey, and I kind of spent the whole time in these rehabs thinking about that, even if it was just to get back for one game.
Yep.
To then call, if that was it, to then call it was enough for me to feel that.
Your terms.
Yeah.
So you can't script a third.
No.
Unless you're Alex Johnson or David Schwartz. But they don't really get back to play and go out on their terms. Are you so stubborn you think, I'll get over this again?
I'd say that the 6-month rehab with the last one was, I would say I was all in. I'd accepted at that point that if it went again, then I'd be done. But I accepted that before I started the journey, and I had to come to terms with that on my terms. On my terms for that was, I know the risk and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if this is it, then I've already made the decision I made the decision 6 months ago that I wasn't going to die wondering. I was lucky one of our doctors about 3 days later said to me, have you thought about an accelerated rehab? And I've got videos that I filmed through this process of like day to day as I was going through it. And you can see a distinct point where I go from despair to maybe, and the change in my mood, the change in my language, the change in my overall demeanor through the videos. You can see, it's noticeable. You can see the drive and the fire lit, and the hope that comes with it. And there was a hell of a lot of hard work through it as well. But
I mean, some bodies, I assume, heal quicker, but you've got to have the mind to accompany the body's desire too.
Yeah.
First, second, third, it's like, let's go again. It must have been, I assume, much harder mentally than it was physically.
Yeah, I would say the mind is more important than the physical recovery. There's so many aspects of, even a couple, like with my first couple of knees, like I really struggled. I knew I had time for them, but I really struggled with the post-op period. I was really, really sore. I laid in bed a lot. I knew they were going to be 12 months. We'd already accepted they were going to be 12 months. Where the surgery had got better from then to when I did my next one, but I was almost up walking within like 5-6 days after the op. And that's not physical healing. That's mental drive.
Yeah. That
feeling of letting go with everything and kind of letting go of my career. My career was done at the end of that year.
Did you think you'd play again?
Yeah, I don't know what it is in me, but
the inner belief said I'll play.
The inner belief,
because skeptics were saying he's done.
Yeah, the inner belief in me was I was playing at the end of that year. I don't know why, and I've had this across all of my injuries. I don't know why I think that way, but I think it's required. That's the funny thing. And as I said earlier, that the belief that you can't do it almost drives me to want to do it even faster or better. Yeah. And I've been lucky that I've been able to do them. That's kind of whatever I've ended up sending my mind to, I've kind of got.
3 knees, the surgery, the chemo, and then a third surgery. Everyone sort of thinks there's 2 cancer battles, but there's a third. Losing your old man. What have you learnt through it all? Like if you distilled it all down and said through all that, the one thing that I know to be true is, where do you land?
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, my journey's taught me is be grateful for what you've got. And that's in so many different aspects. It goes from what you've got at home to what you got at work to the things you get to do, the people you have around you. If you could bottle up the feeling of gratitude of, say, when Dad passed away, the gratitude of my dad at that moment, if I could bottle that up and just take a sip of it every now and then, it'd be so beneficial. The gratitude of health post my chemo, the gratitude of being able to go out there and train after my knees. I am grateful, and we've spoken about it a lot today. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for what I've been through. It doesn't make any of it easy to go through, but through that gratitude gives me such a sense of pride of who I am.
Courageous as this man on screen. Dislocated his shoulder last week. Doubts about whether he would come up. No doubt about that kick. Carlton kicked the first 4 goals in the prelim final.
The 2023 final series sort of had everything, because it was this unbelievable journey that had a sense of maybe they do this.
Yeah, the whole year had that. Not the whole year. We started horrendously. Kind of took until we got to almost what felt like rock bottom, and felt like that we're about a week off the board, taking Vossi out, and had the campfire at Ed Kerno's house, and basically just spoke about what was holding us back. And at that stage, we were talking about just what are we going to do over the back end of the year, that when we get to round 24, whatever happens, we can hang our hat on that we did that. We went to pressure and defense, and the change that happened. But it wasn't smooth sailing. We had injuries everywhere in the last 6 weeks of the year, and if you did our year in a couple of games, the Swans game, being able to first final, being able to hold on by a small margin, just found a way to do it. Melbourne semi-final,
Done.
Yeah,
Done.
We were done.
People were turning away from the screens and having beers thinking, oh, well, they're out.
Yeah, to script that moment. We'd done so much scenario training throughout the whole of pre-season and that year. I think the biggest person in it all gets probably the least amount of credit. Weeders' kick to get the intercept, turn in an instant and kick the ball 40 metres in the corridor, lace out to Ollie. The whole play doesn't happen without him. But we've trained it, had the nerve to do it in a big moment. Ollie turns, hits me, just sort of looped up enough that the Melbourne defender kind of went flying past, and somehow we had about 7 blokes inside 50. And yeah, crazy game. After we kind of got to the midway point, the back end of the year just felt like it was destiny. And maybe that was what undid us in the end. We kind of, once we got up in that final, I think everyone in the group kind of went, geez, we're actually going to do this. And that small moment of thinking that way was enough for an experienced and mature group in Brisbane to change the game, fight back and overrun us. Yeah, looking back now, it's kind of a frustrating year for me in the end. So much that went right, but there's no guarantees in footy that you're ever going to be back there.
No.
And I don't think you ever set yourself up in a better position than being 5 goals up at quarter time in a prelim to get that moment to have a shot on grand final day. And I have frustrations of the way that I led in that moment and my mindset. And
what annoys you about your mindset and how you led?
Well, I think I was in...
We're getting there.
I think that, for a moment I was like, oh, wow, we're actually...
It's going to happen.
Yeah, for most of the year it was kind of like a pipe dream. We're just rolling. It wasn't until we kind of got to that moment where that happened and we were up. It was like, oh, we're actually... And that small moment of taking your eyes off the process, and...
That's enough.
That's enough in today's footy. The game's too technical and too hard and good teams change things and you need to be able to adjust on the fly, and we just weren't able to do that. So all part of the journey that I am. I can't complain too much about it. It felt like destiny. That's kind of, it just felt like that was the moment that I was supposed to have. What that meant to others trumps me, testing the boundaries of what's possible. I think that's what I'll miss. My mind's just always had an eye on footy. That detail, it's how you make it in footy, I think, sometimes.
Given where he's come from and what he's been through, this would indeed be a special moment. Well, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, what a wonderful moment and that huge big surge of emotion. Welcome back, Sam Docherty.
Whoever's written your script has done a serious job. The comeback game goal, the roar, the kick, the understanding of the moment, the sort of the relief, the empathy, it was all just wrapped up in this one moment. It was sort of perfect.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It's back to that. It felt like destiny. That's kind of, it just felt like that was the moment that I was supposed to have. I love that I got that moment. Not for me. Like, it's a cool one to have for my career, and it's probably one of my favourite moments personally, but what that meant to others trumps me. That's the bit that I love about it, and that's the bit that just not many people get that opportunity, and it's something that I just feel so proud to have had.
Yeah.
To be able to have that impact on others.
See, one on return and one to say farewell.
No, it was a cool moment. I kind of thought of it during the week about doing a bow. I thought, if I happen to kick one, I don't get near them very often.
31 total.
It's not that many. So I thought, if I get one, what a cool way to go out.
He runs into the open goal and he says, "Thank you very much for coming." Takes a bow.
Well done, bro.
Looking for you, mate.
So we sit here and you've been retired for a couple of weeks. What are you going to miss? And what are you going to do?
Miss? Kate Simpson's told me what I'm going to miss, to be honest.
Is he right?
I think so. Simo said to me he called me when I was finishing up, and he said, "You're a psycho and you'll miss the hurt. You'll miss the running an extra 2K at the end of training, the pushing yourself to a new limit, testing the boundaries of what's possible." I think that's what I'll miss. That, and just the feeling post-game. Like, every retiree or ex-player says that you just never get that. The locker room after a win or a loss, the shared experience of that. You don't get that again.
The fact that you are now a husband with 2 children and healthy enough to spend time with them, enjoy their growth, is not lost on you.
No. That's the win of being able to walk away the way I kind of wanted to. It allows me to do those things. And for so long I've been home and there.
Preoccupied.
Not preoccupied in terms of other things, but preoccupied in terms of my mind. My mind's just always had an eye on footy.
Yep.
And in everything I do has always had an eye on what that means for me for recovery or for next week, the ability to perform. I can lift my kids up as many times as I want and not stress about hurt my back during the week. Like, it's
just inconceivable to think that that is a contemplation, but it is.
It is, yeah. That detail is that's how you make it in footy, I think, sometimes. As unhealthy as it somewhat is, it's a high performance mindset.
It's what's required.
It's somewhat what's required.
2 clubs, 3 knees, loss of your old man, cancer, best and fairest, captaincy, all Australian jumpers. You've been the most unbelievably inspiring footballer. And thank you for showing us all how it can all be done. I've loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.